I went through multiple edits of this video trying to figure out a way to explain this stuff without repeating the same thing everyone else was saying. I finally came to the conclusion that the best way to do that is by explaining just what's going on in my head from start to finish. The truth is, we all have the information we need to learn this stuff on the internet already. There's hundreds of tutorials explaining everything, but information isn't enough. If it was, doctors would be amazing at figure drawing. That's just not the case. It's more than just knowing about something. The main goal, in my opinion, when attacking any sort of drawings are these three things: knowing what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. Throughout this video, I'll explain exactly what I mean, and if anything gets confusing or doesn't make sense, write the question down, and at the end of the video, if I didn't clarify it, comment the question and I'll clarify what I mean. Because this topic for me is so much deeper than just drawing, I know I can't fit all of my ideas about it in one video without rambling. But if you were looking for a quick how-to video that would make you an amazing artist in 10 minutes or less, this video probably isn't for you, but you can still watch it. A blank canvas is the scariest part of drawing because the possibilities are endless. So endless, in fact, it might get overwhelming. What helps mitigate that feeling of being overwhelmed is having an idea about what you want to say to people or to yourself with this canvas. That starts with the proper reference. I don't know about you all, but when I first started taking drawing serious, I thought that reference was taboo. I thought if I wanted to get good, I have to learn how to draw from my mind and never use reference. That's just not the case. Now, at this point in time, all I do is scavenge the internet for reference, and that can make any idea I have that much clearer to me. But there's a caveat, because at some point, we start to become a slave to the reference, and that's never a good thing. It's about drawing a fine line, pun intended, between using reference to guide your dialogue with the viewer and also being able to communicate either more or less than what the reference is telling you. For example, the reference image that I chose to talk about has three big things that grabbed my attention the moment I laid eyes on it. It was how much her face popped against all the areas of black around her, how strong her gaze is compared to the softness of the features around it, and also how distant her eyes are somehow, even though she's staring right at us. I know that if I say this to whoever's willing to listen, if I don't get it to look exactly like her, people are willing to forgive me because I've expressed everything that I've wanted to express. But if the reference didn't tell me this, I'd be going in completely blind. Keep in mind, this stuff is extremely subjective. You might feel differently about the image as a whole, and that's fine. I'm just telling you my version of the story that this reference image is telling us. Once you know what you want to say, the next step is figuring out how to say it. This is where technique and style come into play. Shading, line work, contrast, composition. These are all tools we use to communicate ideas visually. But the key here is not to rely solely on technical ability. It's about how you use those tools to express the message you're trying to convey. For instance, heavy, thick lines can evoke strength or intensity, while light, delicate lines might convey vulnerability or fragility. Similarly, shading can be used to create mood or drama. Deep, dark shadow can give your drawings a sense of mystery or tension, while soft, gradual shading might suggest calmness. Think of these techniques as your vocabulary. How you apply them determines whether your message is clear or muddled. The temptation is to get caught up in the technical side, perfecting every stroke, every shadow, every detail. But it's important to step back and ask yourself, am I still saying what I intended to say with this piece? If not, it might be time to make adjustments, but not to the technique, but to the overall direction of the drawing. Sometimes less is more, and other times more detail adds to the impact. Where we as beginners struggle with this concept is we don't really know how to say it. That's why I'm constantly looking at other artists for their opinions on a subject that I may lack knowledge on. An artist like Patrick Byarns may say something completely different about this image and express it in a way that makes us appreciate the smallest transitions in value within the halftones, but also bring attention to the looseness of her hair by letting tone dictate the shape of it instead of utilizing lines. Compared to another artist by the name Gorilla Brigade, who would guide your eye to the detail in the face and almost completely nullify the black areas in the image with little to no detail, forcing us to look directly at her eyes. Trying to understand how different artists communicate with you can directly inform how we communicate to others. Timing is everything, not just in conversation, but in art too. Knowing when to say something in your drawing involves understanding pace and flow. This might sound strange at first, but let me explain, right? Think of your drawing as a conversation. Just like in real life, you wouldn't start a conversation by saying the most important thing right away. You'd build up to it, adding layers of context before delivering your main point. In drawing, this translates to gradually revealing details, letting your viewer's eyes explore the piece at their own pace. This helps keep the viewer engaged and makes your drawing more dynamic. The when also applies to your process. Sometimes you might feel you need to rush a piece and get it done and move on, but learning when to take a step back, breathe, and reevaluate, it's important. It's crucial. This pause allows you to reflect on what your drawing is saying at different stages, ensuring that the final result still aligns with your original intent. It's also important to know when a piece is done. Continuing to add details or tweaks beyond a certain point, it really might dilute the impact. An example of this could be, in this piece you can see me working on the hair. Throughout it, I caught myself trying to copy hair strands and loose hairs, copying each strand and trying to match it with the reference. But once I took a step back and realized I wasn't talking about the whole story anymore, I had to stop and take a second and ask myself, is this really something I want to say? Are these strands of hair really worth talking about? Once I realized that, I was able to say to the viewer that I don't want you to talk about the hair too much. I want us to focus on the eyes. I want us to talk about the features. I want us to talk about the feeling. To wrap it up, creating a powerful, meaningful drawing isn't just about following a tutorial or copying what you see in a reference. It's about mastering the art of storytelling through your work. Knowing what to say, how to say it, and when to say it are the three pillars, in my opinion, of creating art that resonates. So the next time you sit down in front of a blank canvas, don't stress about making it perfect. Instead, focus on the message that you want to convey and let that guide you through the process. And remember, if something doesn't make any sense along the way, you can always revisit and ask questions. That's the beauty of art. There's always more to learn, and the conversation is never ending. Thank you all so much for making it this far into the video. I know that this video doesn't teach theory and all that stuff that you think you need as far as the technical aspects of drawing. But trust me when I say this stuff matters so much more. I've been studying art theory for the better part of 10 years, and it hasn't been until I've incorporated this thought process that I've finally been making the progress that I've been wanting to make for years. Regardless, I know it's not easy to stick with it, especially when you don't have anyone around you motivating you to create. That's why I've created a Discord just for that. My Discord is a judgment-free zone unless you want critique, of course. It's already got a small community going on, and if you'd want to be a part of it, the Discord is open to whoever artist is out there and needs that motivation. I'm in there almost daily, staying motivated to continue with a group of like-minded artists. We also do draw-alongs every Sunday where we do quick poses, we all pick the reference together, draw and chat together. It's a good time. But
My next video will be more technical, and I'm hoping that this video can be a precursor to that. So subscribe if you want to see that, and like, comment, all that stuff that, you know, artists always say. To the next one.